Hey everyone, so good to see you again. Thank you for watching the video. I'm excited because I'm actually doing this during the day. I love the natural sunlight, but lots of times since I work full time, I have to do these in the evenings, and then the lighting gets kind of weird on me, and I'm not quite sure what to do. So anyway, I'm excited because this is during the day. I have scrapbook border for you today. This one is the samples are using the National Scrapbook Day paper for this year, the 2024 National Scrapbook Day. But then the one I'm going to make is going to use the Passport to Adventure paper. I love that paper. It is so versatile, and I'm excited because I'm going on the Puerto Vallarta trip that I won from Creative Memories from last year. And so I need a lot of travel stuff, for my scrapbook, for the photos that I'm going to be taking. So let's switch over to my desktop and we can get started. Okay, so these scrapbook borders are using the spring leaves punch. So that is look like this. It's a spring leaves frame punch, but I've made it look like this. And it's also using this floral punch, which is the fresh flowers decorative punch. So let me show you how I did this. And this one's also the same thing, but just different paper. Okay, so move these out of the way. Like I said, I'm going to be using the Passport to Adventure paper pack, and I'm going to use this paper, which is pretty busy, but it's going to work out just fine. Then I'm using the brown shimmer paper. It was kind of weird, but it really does shimmer. It's really, really pretty. I'm using the brown shimmer. I could use another darker sheet um, of the Passport to Adventure paper pack. I don't recommend cardstock with this technique. You can use the cardstock and you can punch things separately, but because I'm going to be folding it and punching it, um, this punch does not like cardstock folded. It's just too heavy, it's too thick. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is going to take this, and the top one that I want showing the most, I'm going to cut a 4-inch strip. I got my trimmer, line it up at the 4-inch mark, and cut it at 4 inches. Okay, then I'm going to switch out my blade, and I'm going to score it. I'm going to use the scoring blade here in half. So since I cut it at 4 inches, I'm going to score it at 2 inches. And I want to make sure this is as straight as possible on here. Press down. I don't want to press too hard because I don't want it to go through the paper, but I do want it to fold. Okay, so that one's going to be ready. I'll show you that in a minute. Next, I'm going to take the brown shimmer cardstock, switch out my blade to the regular blade again, and I'm going to trim this one at 4 1/4. So I want this one to be a little bigger than the other one. Okay, so I'm going to cut it 4 1/4. And then I am going to score this one in the middle, which will be 2 1/8. I know when we get kind of on the smaller side, these measurements are a little harder to do, but an eighth is just one, actually two little marks over. There we go. It's two little marks over from the 2-inch line. So if I went out another eighth, it would be 2 1/4. And then there's the line for the 2 1/4. So the 2 1/8 is right in between there. So, gonna make sure it's straight. top and bottom, and I'm going to score it right in the middle. Okay. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this in half at 6 inches. So I'm going to cut this one at 6 inches. And I'm going to cut the other one, the 4-inch piece, at 6 inches. Okay, and you can save this one for another border if you want. Now, I'm going to move this out of the way. I'm going to fold this in half on that score line. And I'm going to punch, I'm going to turn this punch over, okay? And I'm going to look at the inside. I'm going to take this, it doesn't really, actually it does. The scored part, the folded part needs to be on the bottom. So I'm going to put this in, and the 2 inches that's folded fits perfectly right in between here, okay? So you want to make sure that it is centered, okay? And you're going to punch. Okay, there's the punch. Now take this and turn it like this. Okay, it was punched on this side. We're going to punch the other side, and you need to turn it like this so that the punch is going to be the same punch on both sides. Okay, so I'm going to put this in here, do the same thing, line it up right in the middle, and punch again. Okay. Okay, so now once I've got both ends punched, you can see they're the same. This little hole here is in the top, this little hole here is in the top. The big wider end is down here on the edges. Now this folded edge, I'm going to turn it over. And I'm going to put the non-folded edge back in the trimmer. And I'm going to center this as much as possible. So the way I do that is I pull this down, and I'm just going to cut this right on the edge, right there. Okay, and it needs to be even. And to find how even it is, I'm just eyeballing from here to here and making sure that it looks as close to the middle as possible. And then I'm going to make sure it's straight as possible. So I'm just eyeballing it. And now I'm going to punch it. Okay, so we're done with this piece at the moment. Move this extra out of the way. And I'm going to do the same thing with the brown shimmer piece. So I'm going to fold it in half. I'm going to turn it over. Now, because this was 4 1/4 and in half, it's 2 1/8. You're going to have to kind of judge the middle here. It's going to be a little bit bigger, but we're going to trim it up a little bit when we're done. So do your best to get it as centered as you can. And to make it easy on you, try to just put this top part right there on the edge. That way you don't have to trim 2 different edges. So just put that right there on the top. You'll have a little extra left over on the bottom that we'll trim. Okay. Ouch. Okay. Actually, we have a little on the top and the bottom, which is fine. The key here is to make sure you turn it this way so that again, when you punch it, it'll match this punch. Okay. Put this in here. Make sure it's straight and punch. Okay, now we've got these little extra pieces on the end. I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm just going to angle the cut a little bit so it's smooth. Just kind of angle it and cut it. Angle it and cut it. Okay, so it's trimmed. Next, we're going to punch the middle just like we did the last one. So we want the fold to stay on the top. This is the folded section. It's going to stay on the top. We're going to punch this side, okay, that's open. Again, we're going to put it in the punch, pull it down till it's just on the edge like that. See that? It's kind of dark. So there we go. See how the paper is just on the edge? It's going to cut right there on the edge. Then we're going to make sure that it is as centered as possible and straight. Okay, so I've got pretty much the same equal sides on that top part, and then it's just right there on the edge and straight across. As straight as you can eyeball it. All right, and so that piece is punched as well. Now, we're going to cut this. We're going to angle these two cuts and cut these off. And I'm going to line these two up together so that they look as close as possible. And just freehand this, guys. Just take it from here, right here on the edge, and just angle it down to here on both sides. And I'm cutting both pieces together. That way the angle will pretty much be the same when you open it up. Okay, it doesn't have to be perfect, but if you do it this way, it's as close as possible. Okay, so see, I just angled that down like that. And takes a little bit of practice, but don't worry too much about it. Just cut it. Okay, it doesn't have to be perfect. Doesn't have to completely match the other side, but they're trimmed, okay? Open this one up. Open up the background. And when you put the folds together, you can see that you have just a little bit. Let me kind of get this straight on here for you. Okay, you've got a little bit of that brown peeking out from the top. Okay, and then you're just going to adhere it down that way. You're just kind of guess kind of what the middle is. Make sure there's about the same amount on either side. And this may be, yeah, see if you turn it around, it doesn't match. So make sure it's the same way so that it matches. And then just angle it to where there's about the same amount on either side. This side of the way. And just adhere them together. Use the repositionable on the more delicate edges. Make sure you have it the right way. And just kind of center it in here. Just play with it till you get it to look the way you want. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just so you've got the background showing through on it. Okay, just like that. Now, there's the base. Now we're going to cut these pieces right here. These are 1/4 of an inch piece, and it goes crisscrosses down the back. All right. And then this piece is a 1/8 inch piece. And now on these, I added it on there just to give it dimension, adding the flowers. On this, I'm not sure I'm going to add the flowers. We'll cut them, but I may not want the flowers on there. So get your trimmer back out. And you could have cut this in the beginning. Didn't really need to do it in a separate way. So I'm going to take the brown shimmer again, and I'm going to cut 2/4 of an inch piece. And a 1/4 of an inch is actually the very end of this gray piece here. So it's going to cut here. It's going to cut on this left cut line. And then a 1/4 of an inch is at the end of the gray piece. So it makes it pretty easy to measure. So just put your paper on the very end of the gray map piece there. Hold it. You need 2 of those. So do it again. Now you need a 1/8 of an inch piece. And a 1/8 inch is at this right hand cutting edge. So the blade cuts on the left, and this dotted line here on the right is 1/8 of an inch. Okay, so move your paper over, match up that dotted line as best you can. You won't use this whole piece. I'm going to use half of it, or about 4 inches of it. Right, so then you can cut this at 4 inches. You've got a little piece left over for another couple of borders. Cut it. And then we'll adhere these together. Now, if you center this on your mat, you'll see I've got the 6-inch line right here in the middle, and this 6-inch line going across. This is about the center of this punch. I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive on this brown shimmer, and I'm going to put it down the middle. So just from the center of the bottom part here to the center up here, which is basically along that fold line that we had. And this also kind of covers up the fold so you don't see it. Okay, then I'm going to crisscross these. And if I do that, that's a little more than what I want. So, because I lined it up on this line here, that's not exactly what I want. So I'm going to modify this just a little bit. Maybe from like the 8 up here to the 8 down here, kind of center it. I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive right in the middle. So when I do this one, I'm probably like the 4 to the 4 on the bottom. And then again, try to make it about as even as possible. Those together. Then I'm going to adhere this to the top of that. Okay, so you can vary these. These can be as close as you want or as wide as you want. It's really up to you. It looks like this is a little bit thinner than that, but it's pretty close. So I don't want a whole lot of adhesive to be showing through when I put this on here. So I'm not going to put this adhesive up really high. but I want to put kind of a lot on it because I want it to stay on there. You can use the repositionable if you want. I tend to like to use just the regular tape runner because I tend to use way too much of the repositionable. Okay, so this is pretty much centered. I'm going to center this and stick it down on there. Doesn't have to be perfect, guys. Does not have to be perfect. And there it's on. So there's the base of your border with the little extra doohickey piece on the top and the bottom. Now, I want to show you how to make this flower. I don't know if I'm going to use the flower today, but I may just use different embellishments. So to get that flower, you need a 1 3/4 inch strip by 12 to start with. It's just 1 3/4. And this will make multiple flowers. So you don't really need, taking out the regular blade, putting in the scoring blade. You don't need the full strip. So if you've just got a scrap, say you don't want to use this piece, this is a little wide, but it's okay. It would still work. Then I'm going to take this and I'm going to score it. I'm going to turn it 90 degrees and I'm going to score it at 1.5 inches. Okay, and then I'm going to fold it. Now, what I need is a 1/4 inch extra piece from something. This is a little wider than a quarter, and I'm going to trim this down so that I have a piece that is about 1/4 of an inch wide. So this is just going to cut a little bit off of this. My regular blade back in here. Because we're not going to push this all the way down into the punch. We're going to stick this on top. And, oh, I didn't bring, hold on. Hopefully, I have these. These are tape chips, and they are double-sided pieces of tape, and they help with all kinds of little projects. And what I want to do is I want to put this on the top of this because I want this 1/4 of an inch gap when I put this in the punch. Okay, so now I'm going to put this in this punch. It's going to keep these two pieces together. Okay, now see how this 1/4 of an inch is keeping a gap in there. I'm going to center it in here. So let's see if I can show. I'm going to put this piece right in the middle of where this punch is. Okay, so right there, right in the middle. Make sure that 1/4 of an inch is up in there. Make sure it hasn't turned on me. Okay, right in the middle. And this is going to keep it folded together. Okay, get this out of here. And now I have 2 flowers stuck together. Now, can you punch 2 different flowers? Absolutely. It doesn't have to be folded like that with all these technicalities. But I just thought that was pretty cool that it stayed together and gave me the 2 flowers. Now you can take the tape chip off the back if you want, but it'll also help you to adhere it down to your border if that's what you want. So I don't need this 1/4 of an inch piece anymore. Now, you can adhere this down onto your border. Just kind of center it on there. and you have the flower. Now, if you punch the flower out of other colors, so say you want maybe gold or green, kind of match a color that's in the paper of your border there, like I did here. I punched some other flowers and then took the leftover pieces, like here. I got these leftover brown pieces from that punch, and then you can adhere them inside the flower, and it makes the flower stand out. Okay? I'm not sure I want the flower on this because it's a travel border. So I'm going to take these off, but I did want to show you how to make this. There again, you can just punch two different flowers, kind of put them together, but I thought that was a really fun way to get those folded together. Now, also in this border, could you take a 2-inch piece and a 2 1/8 inch piece, cut them separately and adhere them together? Yes, I did that the first time. And then also putting this 1/8 of an inch piece down the middle, you can't even tell that it was cut in two different pieces. So that works too if you don't want to do the fold. So also if you wanted to do actual regular cardstock on the back, that's the way to do that, is just cut the pieces separately and then just weld them together. And then you've got the border that way too. But since this is a travel border, I would really kind of like to put a few stickers on here. Um, I can see myself looking from the hotel room, looking out over the ocean with some pictures. What a view. Wouldn't that be cool? Um, Eat well, travel often. That is a really cool sticker. Wish you were here. I wish my team or my husband would be going. So um, I'm just going to see, if I want one of these stickers, or I could even take one of the 12-inch border pieces and just run it down the middle. So I think I'm just going to put one of those stickers here in the middle. That will be pretty cool. So I want one that's got some different colors on it. I don't want it too big. That one would fit on there. But I'm going to see what the wish you were here looks like. Wish you were here. You know what? Doesn't stand out as much. And I think I'm going to take one of these. Because I've already got that. If I just highlight a little bit of it, you don't have to have a whole lot. I can cut this airplane, go down to about here. So I can cut this off here. And I'm just going to trim this in the circle slowly, like that. So I can still use this piece for something else. And then I'm going to trim this out a little bit, like the other side. I'm going to put this down the middle. Center it about like this. I can leave it like that. But then I think one of these stickers will go across like this. Destination unknown. Because I don't know what I'm going to be doing. I'm wanting to either go horseback riding and or zip lining or something. But anyway, there you go. This border is done. So if you guys like this, please feel free, click on the like button. If you have comments, that would be great to see. You can request to join my Facebook group. It is still a work in progress, but I'm trying to remember to post these videos on it. Any other ideas that I see that I like, add some ideas, add the new uh, products that are coming out a couple of times a month. Request to join my group. I'll let you in. And then what I would love to see is you guys making these borders and sharing them on that Facebook page. So that would be pretty cool. All right. So thank you. Thank you so much for watching. Uh, really appreciate you guys hanging in there with me. And um, I will see you next time on my other video that's coming out, probably on Thursday. That's a page that I'm going to be working on. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great rest of your day.